Good morning, everybody. My name is Motorayo from Lion, and myself and Mr. Josh Akpobeta will be anchoring the webinar session for today. Mr. Josh, let's hear you.
So we know, like, it's in the culture of us in ZKTeco, we usually have a bi-weekly webinar session, and this week we are going to be discovering the comparative analysis between our old and our new device, and hence it is fitting to have as a theme for this webinar session exploring the comparative advantage of the old versus new time attendance devices. And before we progress on this, let's run through who we are as a brand and as an OEM.
ZKTeco Limited, we're a globally renowned enterprise. We have biometric verification as our core. Over the years, we have dedicated ourselves to three major core aspects of the industry, which is smart identity, authentication, entrance control, office application, all of which are applicable to different sectors of the economy. We have the business, the government, smart city, hospitals, estates, and more, and all the likes.
And as a scope of our expansion, we are in over 35 branches. And because we believe in going global, we have our presence in these countries you can see on your screen. Countries such as America, Argentina, Chile, China, Colombia, and the list keeps growing day by day. And one of the newest region we've entered is the West Africa region that caters for the West African market, with Nigeria being the hub that drives this region.
You can see the two beautiful faces on the screen. To my left-hand side, we have the CEO of ZKTeco West Africa in person of Mr. Afolabi Abiodun. And to the right-hand side, you can see Mr. Jochi, the CEO of ZKTeco Limited Global. That is the chairman of the board of ZKTeco Limited.
Then still on that, what drives us at ZKTeco, if you look at our mission, we believe in the future. We want to integrate technologies to promote smarter applications, smarter data. This is the core vision that our CEO, both the West African CEO and the global CEO, Afolabi and John Chi, stands for. Is their mission, is what is driving us as ZKTeco as a renowned biometric brand. Now, we're moving down into the topic for the day, the comparative advantage of old versus new. By myself, Josh, and
Motorayo.
Always smiling Motorayo from Lion. So now, let's dive in. What are we going to be looking at?
The outline for the day. We have 5 outlines altogether. We'll look at the pool devices versus the push devices, the on-premise devices versus the on-cloud devices, infrared illumination functionality in devices versus those with the newly introduced visible light technology, the optical finger reader functionality in devices, the old devices, versus the newly innovated sealed ID reader in the recently launched product. And lastly, we'll look at the wired devices versus the wireless devices. For the pool devices.
So now let's look at the pool versus
the
push devices.
The pool devices, as the name implies, time attendance. We all know that from periodically, as a company, you need to pick the reports. You need to get the reports of your staff productivity over time to manage the payroll, shift management, and every other functionalities that this device has to offer. Pool, as the name implies, means you have to query these devices time and time again to get this information. You can do that by using the software on the laptop, or basically going to the device itself and using a USB device to extract the report. One of the major things that makes this possible is the SSR, which is the unique method of extracting report from most time attendance devices. The old time attendance devices that we have at ZKTeco came mostly with this functionality as a mode of extracting report, while Mr. Josh would look into the newest line and how we have innovated on top of this.
Thank you very much, Motorayo. Like my colleague Motorayo mentioned, talking about pool devices, it is worth noting that these are the first generation type of devices. So most time attendance devices you find in the market are mostly the pool devices. And for pool devices, because we ZKTeco, we are the biometric pioneer in this aspect, all our devices come with this feature, and we've evolved. So much so we've gone to the next, the pool devices. But still on the pool devices, let's look at some of the range of products that makes the pool devices. For the range of products that makes the pool devices, for example, we have the likes of the D1 and the D2 and the K40. So what makes them unique? But rather we're running through some of their unique features.
For the K40 device, which is one of our best sellers within this space, this device is very durable, affordable, and it gets the job done. And for basic SMEs and companies with staff of say 1 to 500 staff, they can use this device to manage their attendance. And then also this device has a USB functionality such that you can put in your USB drive, your flash drive, to extract reports. You can also connect this device to the ZKTeco.net 3.0 software to manage this device on premise. For the D1 and the D2S, particularly I like these devices because they are very fine and they're very portable. They're basically desktop devices. You can have them by the receptionist or by the admin for punching in and punching out of staff as they come into the space. Also for SMEs and small organizations who are looking to expand in the nearest future can invest in this device. Also, aside from punching in, we have password as another mode of verification for this device, or another mode of punching in or entering your attendance. And then we have the inbuilt report functionality. All of the devices on the screen, they're beautiful to look at. They have plastic body, and they are very durable. They can be cleaned easily, and they have been known to last over time.
Thank you very much. And one thing to note about the devices like the D1 and D2 is, like my colleague mentioned, they are tabletop. Hence, they come with a built-in battery that can last for up to 8 hours. So you have Chinyere, who owns a salon that has 10 staff. She wants to manage each 10 staff to be sure that they come to work as appointed due and they leave when they are supposed. This device becomes very handy. They are placed on the table. She can monitor all the 10 staff that are working for her. She don't have to break the bank to do that. Because of the built-in report feature, she can also extract and know when they came to work and when they were absent. This makes life easy. And for example, the K40 is also another premium device that has lasted for time. They are one of our first generation products. And K40 not only work as time attendance, but can also be used for a simple access control device. So now, let's push.
Let's push. Okay, so for the push time attendance devices, as the name literally means, push. So when we say pull, we initially said that you have to by yourself query, that is, extract these reports on your own. But for the push devices, we have made life easier. So what do they do? For every punching, for every clocking, for every time that somebody interacts with this device, the device sends out the report using the WDMS feature, which Mr. Josh will explain on quickly.
So talking about the WDMS, like you see in your slide, is a web data management system. So it's like a cloud, an ecosystem that gives you the access to have all your data stored in the cloud. So these unique features enable data stored in the cloud to be accessed by a device, such that the same data you have in your device, instead of using your USB or using your TCP cable to get or extract the data from the device automatically push this report to this WDMS server that serves as a bank for saving this access. It's also worth noting that for every device that needs to work with cloud, that needs to be remotely accessed, WDMS or ADMS, as some people will call it, it's a must and a unique feature that this device must have. So when talking about push device, push time attendance device, one thing to look out for are a device that has the feature of WDMS or ADMS, meaning the data management system that helps this device to keep its data in a circle so that it can be pushed from the device and accessed remotely from any location. Now, we are going to be looking at some of the devices that comes in the push category, which Ryan will be doing justice to that.
So we have the MB560, we have the P-Phase 202 in this category. Looking at both devices, all devices on the screen, as you can see, they have the push functionality, which means that each of these devices, you don't have to query the report by yourself. Not only do they have that, we have also inbuilt in them multiple verification modes, which is another major functionality that the newer generation of time attendance devices have come with. So you don't just punch in with fingerprint or card. You can also use the face as a template for punching into punching in your attendance rather. And for the PFACE device to my right-hand side, it's one of the best sellers also within the space, and it is highly recommended for high-rise offices, buildings, and companies with a whole lot of staff. This comes with all modes of verification: the card, the fingerprint, the palm, the face, as unique identifiers to punch in your attendance within that space.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rayo. And still on these devices, my colleague mentioned something about multi-biometric verification. That might sound like a big English, right? Okay, let's break it down. So when ZKTeco products, you are talking about multi-biometric verification in time attendance, you are literally talking about giving you an option for verification. So we understand that COVID came, right? COVID came and told us that it's not safe for you to touch where I've touched. So let's assume I'm using a time attendance device, clock in, and I have COVID. That means whoever is touching that device has chance of getting contaminated, right? Yes. So with multi-biometric device, we give you the option for your staff or people to be able to sign in using their face, using their fingerprint, or using their palm. What you see on your screen there, on your left, is the MB560. MB560 is one of the Linux operating system devices that gives you the access for you to be able to clock in using either your face, fingerprint, or card. And this is also a visible light device, which we'll later dive into during the course of this session. Talking about the device on your right is a PFACE device. So what makes PFACE unique? PFACE, you can sign in using your palm, your face, your finger, your card, and password. So most people might say, okay, yes, they've not gotten the facial recognition technology so much very well. Some people might tell you, okay, I have reservation about a device reading my face. It might come with some harm. So I've met customers who are that very skeptical about technology. So for such customers, don't worry, your palm is very hard. It can be read and it can give you access without touching the device. With device like PFACE, you can sign in without touching the device using the PFACE palm reading function. While we also have another device that one of our premium and pioneer devices is the INO1A. INO1A is a standalone device that can be used for access control and it has push notification. It's worth noting that INO comes in two variants, which we will later discuss about during the session that talks about wired and wireless device as session progresses.
So we're moving on to the second topic on the table, which is the on-premise versus on-cloud devices. When we say on-premise, when we talk about the location of time attendance devices, we're talking about where those devices are housed and how they are managed, how the data that is transmitted between them is managed. For on-premise time attendance devices, it has to be managed within where it is located. So you have your device in your office at your HQ, your storage, your server, everything that has to do with managing the data that goes in and out and needs to go how to execute certain functions using that device has to be managed on site. This is oftentimes very tasking, not just manpower-wise, but also economic-wise. But the benefit of having this in your space is that you have full control and privacy of company information. So for every face that is logged onto the server, for every fingerprint that is logged on or saved on the database, no one else interacts with it. Why? Because you have full control. Then also, you also have to fetch the security for this on-premise data center as we always refer them as rather. You have to deploy the security. Why? Because you don't have any other person managing this on your part. And then deployment can be very time consuming for these devices. high cost of maintenance. Although they offer full control and privacy, it is also worth noting that we are in the age of ease and digital innovation. It's best to go with the tide. Anything can happen literally. We could have a fire outage. You can have somebody going in and erasing records. These devices, this on-premise data center, without necessary backups, can be wiped off within a twinkle of an eye, which is why ZKTeco West Africa has also given the option to have on-cloud storage as another means of managing your time attendance solutions.
Yeah, so before we talk about the on-cloud storage and on-cloud devices, we need to note that when we talk about on-premise, there are some clients that are very fixed on cloud. They don't like the idea of cloud. So for such clients, we as ZKTeco, we understand that there are clients who are the aged clients who are in their 60s, 70s. They are paranoid. They feel cloud means someone is having access to. So for such clients, on-premise device can cut it for them. But like my colleague rightly mentioned, it comes with a whole lot of challenges. Managing it, the cost, and the tide is fast becoming obsolete. But not to worry, we have devices that serve both clients' needs, both on-premise and on cloud. So talking about on-premise, we have a brain that drives our on-premise device. On this brain, we are talking about ZKTeco 3.0. What does this device do? This solution do? ZKTeco 3.0 literally means a software that manages our devices that gives you either the pull notification or the pull feature and device that can be managed on premise. So with ZKTeco, you can do simple access control, time attendance, and simple staff management with this device. So ZKTeco is an on-premise time attendance device that you can use on these devices that you see on your screen. And the advantage of this is that it can be used for as many devices on premise as possible. Meaning, so if you have a location in an office where you have, say, you have like 20 access doors, and these access doors are used by staff, you want to be able to manage all from a central location. ZKTeco can do that seamlessly, network by using your existing network connection, be it you're using the TCP/IP and the LAN connection. ZKTeco can efficiently and effectively manage this end-to-end. Then note, it's an on-premise solution that manages time attendance.
And it can also be accessed remotely. So your board of directors is meeting in Kafanchan and they want to see the attendance over time in the last few quarters. Somebody has to send the reports, maybe CSV via mail. Yeah. You cannot access it remotely. So that's just the other disadvantage. But not to worry, for people or for clients, subset of clients who are still interested in having an on-premise, they want to have full control of their data. This software would do the justice happening.
So now, let's talk about the on-cloud time attendance solution. By on-cloud, as the name implies, we're talking about a cloud-based time attendance devices that gives you the ability for you to be able to host and query a device or get a push notification of reports or data on that device. Try your digging on this, please.
Okay, so for the on-cloud time attendance solution, we're talking about you having to have a third party to manage everything that includes the storage, server, and networking. So what do we mean by this? You know, we said for the on-premise, you need to have like a space, a physical space where you have all of this stored. But life has gone past that, as we all know. And then the cloud has come in as a means to save us and to also save space. This means you're hosting online. So all you need within your physical space are just the devices and the necessary connections. The storage has been moved to the cloud. For everything time you need to pull a report, all you need to do is pull a report rather. It has already been pushed to the cloud. So what you need to do is just pick it up from there and use it. The pros behind this is quick time of deployment. You are not installing too many devices. You are not having to connect too many, and you don't need an extra space, literally. Everything has already been moved to the cloud, and it has a lower cost of maintenance. Why? Because these third-party providers serve several clients. So, in fact, by virtue of being a mass service provider, they have been able to reduce their cost over time. And what you would be paying would just be subscription fees, which would be a fraction of what you would spend if you were using an on-premise data center. The cons, however, is that the administrators of the third-party service providers have access to everything you store. So they can decide to wipe you off in 1 minute should you do anything wrong. Or should you not renew on your subscriptions, you don't have access to your data. That's just the cons of on-cloud time as standard solution. So now let me turn this con that my colleague Montreal mentioned now to a pro. Talking about the cons still, depending on the size of the client and the kind of architecture they want, do you know that ZKTeco have a solution that can be configured such that this same cloud can be achieved and you really want to manage your own data center? So let's assume your company already owns its own cloud, or your client's company already owns its own cloud. They want to be able to manage their data, time attendance, employee database from their own end on their own cloud. Yes. The solution that we want to take in would be able to do that, but that means it has to be a bespoke, customized to meet your need. What solution I'm talking about? The Valtime software is one that is web-based. For every device with the WDMS functionality can be integrated together to work with this software. What the software offers is basic time attendance, schedule management, payroll management, report access, meeting management, and a whole lot of other services that Mr. Josh talked about. So when we're talking about Valtime, we're talking about multiple locations. We're talking about a device that can be accessed irrespective of your location. So we understand that these days, we have a company that owns several offices in different locations. Even in Lagos, we have a client that owns an office in VI and another office in the mainland, and 3 other offices outside Lagos. But the HRO is stationed in Victoria Island. So for every time the HRO wants to get a report, it doesn't need to call an admin assistant to send her a report. Why? Because from the ease of her phone, from the ease of her laptop, she can have access to the report in real time of who has clocked in and who hasn't, who has been absent and who hasn't, who is due for leave and who is not, approvals that are done, time attendance, and everything that has to deal with employee management can be managed from Valtime. It comes with a basic payroll management and employee management module that helps you to manage not only time attendance, but everything that has to do with time attendance and integration to payroll. Let me also mention here that because we understand that many companies and many clients might already have their own ERP they are using, Valtime is integratable to third-party ERP and other solutions. So your clients might already using an ERP or a software as a service, but want to integrate Valtime to work with it. Not to worry, Valtime can do that integration. And Valtime can work even on your phone, such that a staff who is traveling from location A to go and work in location B for the same office might not necessarily need to clock in when he or she gets there. All he needs to do is, once his phone is activated, once he gets there, he can clock in using the geotagging to be sure that he's at a precise location where office B, his location is going to, he's at that place. And when he does that, he can sign in from this different location, and the HR is able to see in real time when that staff that is meant to go to location B arrives at that location and when he or she clocks in. These are just some of the few features that Valtime can do. Valtime is actually a robust software as a service for time attendance that manage ZKTeco time attendance devices that have the feature to do push services. Just a bit one of the geotagging functionality that Mr. just mentioned briefly. What he does basically is, you know, in this age where we have people working remotely, we have staff sometimes that may claim that they worked, but they didn't actually work during that day. What you do, what the admin is able to do is to set the boundaries within where the staff is to be at work as the location of work. So for every time the staff steps into that space, he can access and clock in. If he's not within that space, he cannot clock in. And the software recognizes that he has been absent for that day. So this is just a measure to also help with remote working, which ZKTeco has included in our software to ensure that we work with the times as the seasons are changing. Thank you, Bo, for bringing that out. So now, we'll be progressing now to yet another of our devices. That is the infrared illumination versus visible light facial recognition devices.
Let's dive in.
For the infrared illumination devices, they are able to read facial templates. But one unique thing that makes them stand out rather is the way in which they identify. First off, in a situation where there is low light, they can adequately pick out faces. And even in a situation where there is too much exposure to light, they can block out excess light and still pick out whatever person's face is standing right in front of it. With the anti-glare functionality, basic features can be picked from the face of the person, or the templates rather, to help to reduce not just distortion, but to take accurate attendance at that point in time. So these devices, part of the old generation, it is also worthy to note that this functionality have also been included even in the newer generations, because it is of utmost importance in areas like our own space, where we have issues with power from time to time, and the staff needs to clock in, and maybe power has gone down at that point and you're trying to restore power. You can still clock in even while it is dark because of the infrared functionality.
So now, talking about a visible light function, the same function that my colleague mentioned in the previous infrared recognition devices are also present in the visible light. But with visible light, what have we done? We've gone a step higher. The accuracy and speed of verification is more. And also, what noted is that the visible light has an advantage, whereby you can sign in even from 0 to 3 meters away from the device. And another thing, unique thing with the visible light is that it ensures that there is an anti-spoofing done for every signing. Anti-spoofing, right? Big grammar. Let me break it down. By anti-spoofing, we are talking about a device that has the feature of detecting liveness. So let's give an instance. So I assume I'm not coming to work today, and I have my ID card. I can give it to Mo and say, Mo, when you get to the office, my ID card to sign in. Or give her my passport or my phone that has my picture for her to sign in. For a device that don't have anti-spoofing, she can fool the device, right, Mo?
Yeah, of course I can.
Yes, but for devices that have anti-spoofing, every time my face is presented on that device, the anti-spoofing feature makes sure that liveness is detected, meaning shoulder position, facial liveness, vein, and all that. These are what is considered before you are given access for that such devices. So with the visible light facial recognition device from ZKTeco, you are sure of getting a higher speed of capturing, accuracy, and a more reliable data capturing with these devices. Of course, very, very well.
Yeah, apologies for that little break in transmission. We were on the optical finger reading time attendance devices. What do we mean? These are the regular devices that we have, that we see in the market. Majority of time attendance devices you will see out there today have this functionality. They are great. They scan the outer layer of the fingerprint, and they are able to state biometric details immediately. they are scanned. However, in a situation where somebody's fingerprint or a co-worker's fingerprint has been chopped off or is rough, or over time, as especially those on construction sites, they have interacted with cement and all of that, and it has affected their frames. There needs to be something extra that can grant access to this person, so they don't have to always clean their fingers just to ensure that the device captures them. These devices, you would see this the fingerprint readers in different colors. Either you see them in red, blue, yellow, green. This shows that they are optical fingerprint scanners.
So now let's talk about the comparison of the Silk ID fingerprint reader. By Silk ID fingerprint reader, we are talking about scanners that go beyond just the outer layer of your fingerprint, and these are able to do this adopt the 3D technology of scanning, such that it increases the capturing rate and also increase the capturing latency. How do we mean? So my colleague mentioned an instance of people who are something that is peculiar with people who are in construction. Because of the nature of the job they do, exposure to elements like cement and hard surfaces and all that, you find out that most times construction workers have their prints affected so much that it has become smoothed by exposure to such elements. Over time, for people who have these peculiar issues, when they clock on the device, they have difficulty getting their prints read because of the way their prints are. So you find them pressing their finger several times, the device will not just read it, because these are devices that come with the conventional laser reader that use the optical laser. But with Silk ID, we are talking about a device that comes with an enhanced fingerprint that reads just beyond the outer layer. Meaning, yes, for those who have rough and smooth finger, your fingerprint can be read using this technology. And another unique thing is that, unlike the optical laser fingerprint type reader, Silk ID readers, they are mostly they come in white color. So when you see a device that comes in white color, this is one unique way you can use to identify devices that are Silk ID enabled. But the question one would ask is it really necessary? Yes, it is. Most of our time attendant devices are adopting the Silk ID reader touch, meaning that for every time you swipe your finger, you don't have to keep pressing and changing position of your finger for your fingers to be read. Because why? Silk ID has got you covered with most ZKTeco products.
Thank you so much, Mr. Josh, for that. We'll move on to the wired versus wireless time attendant devices. When we talk about wired time attendant devices, we talk about those that come with TCP, IP, and USB as the basic mode of communication. So you are used to your LAN cable and the connection and how they are connected within that space. This is basically how data is transmitted. And you find this mostly on-premise wired channels. For regular time attendances that we have in the market, you find a lot of them within this space. But over time, ZKTeco has evolved. We still have our devices still have the TCP/IP. We didn't take that off, but we have included the recent modes of communication to even better the data transmission rate and data reporting rate. Why? Because we could have downtimes on servers, and you may need something to just quickly jack up the network to pull the particular report. You would need an additional mode of connectivity for that.
Then talking about the wireless time attendant device, by wireless time attendant device, we are talking about device that can be deployed at various locations. It's worth noting that these devices, they are mostly compliant with ZKTeco BioTime 8.0, mostly compliant, though there are a series of some of our wireless devices like the WL10 and other devices that comes with a unique time assistant app that manages the device end to end, whilst most of the wireless devices can work with BioTime. So, like my colleague rightly mentioned, for these devices, it's not as if we've taken out the TCP/IP function. It's not as if we've taken out the USB host function. Here you can use the same USB to connect the device to your local area network. You can still do that. Just that we are giving you an added functionality for you to be able to include a SIM card of this device, for you to be able to connect using Wi-Fi, such that the wire that runs through the office is taken away. Of course, if you work with a boss like myself, who is very particular about technology, he doesn't like wire. Hence, he wants everything to be done wirelessly. So it's only fitting that we as ZKTeco, we have several products that are wireless, and this product can connect within a 5 to 10 meter range wirelessly, depending on the frequency of the wireless network you are using. And because this device connects to a cloud-based server real-time reporting, you don't have to worry about on-premise reporting, because your reports can be pushed by the device to a cloud server such that you get a real-time reporting update for such devices. This is one unique advantage that the wireless devices come with. Also worth mentioning is that these devices, because they come with 3G, they have people who will tell you that, okay, I have a location in North Central region or the Northern region that the internet connectivity there is very low. Or it's not only peculiar to the Northern region. Even in Lagos, there are certain places that certain networks are not so good, or they don't have internet there. For such places, you can be sure that you can still have a site or a location there and get a real-time report for such location. What you need to do is just to get a SIM card that is data enabled, and inside the SIM card on that device, you are able to connect the device to your time attendance software like BioTime and get a real-time report of your staff who are at that location, irrespective of where they are. So this device automatically pushes reports to your HR at wherever she is, and she gets a real-time location, a real-time attendance for this staff without worrying about getting internet or wiring internet to work for that location. This is one of the unique features that our wireless time attendance devices like MB560, VF380, and several other ZKTeco devices, and the lists are more come with. We give you the option of going wirelessly. So, my colleague will be talking about some of the wireless devices.
Okay, so for some of the wireless devices, as you can see displayed on the screen here, we have the S92, which is one of my favorites. And this device is not just durable, it's also very handy. You can move it anywhere. So for a client that has different branch offices or a setting where they have staff clocking in from different locations, you can have this device, especially for construction sites, mineral mining sites, where you need to check the productivity of your workers. You have this device on there. The beauty about this is it also has the 3G functionality and the Wi-Fi functionality. So you don't necessarily need to pass cables on the construction site. No one does that anyway for safety. So this device would accurately take care of punching in and clocking out of staff, of labor staff that would come into that space time and time again. So the major mode of verification for this device is the P16, is the fingerprint scanner. You can also use the passcode as a means of verification. For the P160 and P260 devices, as their name implies, the major mode of verification is the palm. It also has an inbuilt fingerprint scanner and a password mode of verification for access, or for access rather, into the space or into the facility. These devices all have the 3G functionality and the Wi-Fi option. So we have said 3G, we have said Wi-Fi. What's really 3G? What's Wi-Fi? 3G is basically enabled by your SIM cards. Every SIM card out there has 3G. Now we've even gone all the way to 5G. I'm sure ZK is also innovating along that line. It means you can put your SIM card into these devices and use them for data. Or you can connect wirelessly to any router or existing modem within that space, just for data transmission. The Aorus device, the G4 and the G4L, and also some of the variants that come with the visible light technology, as Mr. Josh has explained earlier. What this means that even if the location is as dark as night, they light up and they pick the face for verification. The Aorus device comes with an Android operating system. The G4 comes with the Android, while the G4L comes with the Linux operating system. This is just to basically help augment companies that are used to different modes or operating systems to be able to work with what is obtainable. For companies that are used to Linux, they work with Linux. For companies that are used to Android, they can work with the Android operating system. The unique selling point of all these devices is the fact that they are wireless, and also they are multi-modes of verification. Same also goes for the G3 device.
So let me talk a little bit about the operating system that are present in these devices. by Android operating system in devices like the Horus and the G4 and the P260 and P160 and other several of our devices. It gives you an open source for you to be able to get several applications to integrate with this. While for developers and system integrators who are keen on building their own time attendant devices, the Linux becomes your go-to guy. So with Linux, just like we know the operating system, is an operating system that is mostly used by developers and others who know the coding, which I'm not a good one by myself. So Linux gives you that option of saying, okay, fine, you already have a Linux operating system running. Work with the Linux operated time attendant that makes life easy for you. Also, there are some SQL servers that are Linux compliant. By SQL server, we're talking about database management in terms of employee database or whatever database you have as a company being extracted or being pushed from as a source from a software. So if you have an SQL license, for example, and your SQL work with a Linux operating system, it's only fitting that you work and develop with a device that works with your operating system. That won't be a problem. But most people who are not really particular about Linux or Android, of course, you can use both concurrently. You can use a G4L for Windows if you want to use to pull reports. You can also use it for Linux, likewise. But just for clarity, it's going to be easier if you are an integrator to work with the Linux operating system for you, and it's integrated seamlessly. But that notwithstanding, the Android also that is present in Horus, G4, and several of our devices still works in the same way. And they also announced to you that in Horus, because we believe in the Horus series of devices, we've gone further to have the Horus mobile, such that it becomes very mobile friendly and also has a 3G function where you put your SIM card as a data point for you to be able to get reports on this device remotely.
So lastly, we'll be talking about how to identify original ZKTeco products. Because we know that our brand is one of the best out there in the market, and you know definitely it's the best always comes counterfeiting. We have people who have gone ahead to try to give adulterated products and fake products and post them off as ZKTeco products. So we are going to teach you how to identify an original ZKTeco product. The first task is to visit our website, ZKTeco-wa.com/support/anti-counterfeit/. Enter the serial number of the device. You would find the serial number on the package of the device where you have the barcode. That is where you would see the serial number. Enter the serial number onto the screen that will be displayed before you and click on search. Once you click on search, if your device is authentic, it will give you a feedback that says this device is authentic, and you will see the information about the device. You will see the name, the number, and every other thing that has to do with the device, and it will be certified. You would see the green logo that shows certified. But if your device is fake, I'm so sorry, it would return an unknown response telling you that we do not recognize that device. Even if it has a ZKTeco logo on it, even if it has our CEO's face on it, we are sorry to let you know that that device is not ours. And then another way to ensure that you get original ZKTeco products is to buy from our authorized distributors. If you go to our website, you will see a link that takes you to our authorized distributors on there. You can buy from them. That you are certain that you are buying ZKTeco authentic products.
So about identifying fake and original products, please, you want to do well to follow our social media handles on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all Instagram and various social media, and subscribe to our channel. In fact, on one of our newsletter that was shared by my colleague Dave is how to identify fake ZKTeco products. And also, one article I find interesting on this products, when it comes to fake products, is just because you want it cheap. Yeah. We understand that Nigerian market is a price-sensitive market, and because of price, many people would rather go for a cheap product than actually, and they don't care the problem that comes with it. In the market, Nigerian market, you have several products that are branded ZKTeco that are actually not our product. So using this link that my colleague has shared with you, www.ZKTeco-wa.com/support/anti-counterfeiting. would enter a serial number, and there you will see and know if the device you are actually about buying or you bought is genuine, fake, or not meant for our region. How do I mean not meant for our region? As ZKTeco, we have some products that are region specific. You might find a product in ZKTeco that is 10. Let's say, for example, we have the likes of the instance, UA series. UA 300 is not meant for Nigerian market. While UA NB 200 is not meant for our regional market. In Nigeria market, we have the NB 460, we have the 560. Yes, and we are expecting the NB 600. They are meant for our market. So what does that mean? It means because these products are meant for our region, you will get support for our region. But if you're buying a product that's meant for Middle Eastern region or American region or European region, that means you might not get the full support for such products because they are not meant for this region. So this is something you need to be particular about when looking out for when sourcing a ZKTeco product. Yes, you might get an original, but it's not meant for that region. So getting support becomes very difficult because why? That support is meant to come from perhaps a different region and you are not in that region. So that becomes a major problem. And also, there are some products that you get, they might have a model that is different from the product you're buying. So let's say, for example, I'm buying a P-Phase 202 device, and the casing I got is P-Phase 202. The model number and the serial number I got on that device, by the time I put it on this link, I'm not seeing a KF160. That is another issue you need to run away from. It means perhaps that device is a product, the model number serial number is meant for another product, while the device you're buying is a different product. So if I'm buying a P-Phase and I'm seeing a model number for a KF series, that's another thing you need to worry about when buying ZKTeco products. Check your product very well and make sure you're getting the right product with the right serial number. If it's not that, you might need to take it up with us, ZKTeco, or any of our reseller that you can get their link from our website.
And you can reach out to us for support, for questions, for the inquiries on our website, www.zkteco.com/WSL. They will definitely respond to you.
So thank you very much for your time. We hope our session has been very resourceful. So this is all we are going to be taking now. So at this point, we are going to be moving to the question and answer session. Believing you have a question for us, we are here to answer you, please. So if you have a question for us, we'll be more than glad to attend to you. But before we proceed to the question, please, we would want you to take a poll for us. A poll will be shown on your screen now. And you do also want to take the poll that you will be seeing on your screen now. It's very important to us, please, because we need feedback for us to improve on what we are doing at ZKTeco. And so, please, we appreciate if you can take the pool so that we know what we do in our next presentation session and how we can better serve you as our esteemed customers. So while we are waiting for the Q&A session, please don't forget to take our pool, since this will improve on our service to you as ZKTeco and as a brand. So we really appreciate you to take the pool, and after taking the pool, we will proceed to the Q&A session, where we'll be on ground to answer your very important question. So in a short while, we'll be progressing to the Q&A session. Please, it's very important to us for you to take the pool.
Do well to take the pool, so we can serve you better in subsequent webinars.
So if you didn't do well, this is your feedback to us so that we can improve. Or if you perhaps want a subject matter that you feel we
are not guilty.
Yeah, please, this is an opportunity for you to let us know, give us the feedback on this pool so that we take it back and give you what you want. So in less than a minute, we're going to be done with the pool and we'll proceed to the Q&A session. So now we'll be proceeding to our question and answer session. We already have some questions from our esteemed participants. Maya Adebanjo has a question for us, and the question is asking is
it possible for information on these softwares to be breached and added solution?
Okay, so Maya, the question you're asking is if there's any possibility that there will be a security breach. Okay, yes. Why that is actually a good concern to raise, but you need to know that for ZKTeco, we have an encrypted cloud server that is protected. And for this cloud server, they are protected by a high encryption security. Well, yes, it can happen that they can be breached, but that will take a whole lot of hackers to do that, because like we know, hacking is going from stage to stage, but one thing is sure, if you have a system, no system is foolproof. But for you to go to breach this security that Biotech currently have, you have to go through a whole lot of hacking and a whole lot of process to do that. So if that answers your question.
The encryption is not static. We improve over time. So for every time, there's always an upgrade of the security. So you have nothing to worry about, really. So the second question. Good morning, Josh and Ryan. My question is, can Biotime 8.0 be upgraded to Biotime 8.4?
Okay, so Bako, the question you're asking there is the upgrade. Well, let me let you know, Biotime 8.0 currently is a product that is for our region. 8.4 and 8.5, they are for the Middle Eastern region. Actually, 8.5 is for Dubai and its region. So, wanting an upgrade of that is the same feature you get for this Biotime 8.4 is what you get in Biotime 8.0.4. So, 8.0.4 has almost the same feature of what you get from Biotime 8.5. But if you can upgrade Biotime 8.0 to 8.4, no, you can't do that because there are two different solutions from two different markets. 8.4 designed for the Middle East market, 8.0 designed for our region. So I believe that answers your question. If you still have any other question, you can raise your hand so we take your question. So Mr. Nuruddin, Koshuku, you have a question? Please.
Please, Mr. Nuruddin, you can talk.
You can unmute.
You can unmute so we hear you out.
Mr. Nuruddin, can you go ahead with your question, please?
We'll move to the last question while we wait for Mr. Nuruddin. The last question from Mr. Yusuf Adenowo says, the payroll module, what has been the observation in terms of seamlessness of those who have used them with USB enablement?
Okay, you're asking if the payroll module, what has been the observation in terms of
seamlessness of those who have used them with USB enablement?
When you say USB enablement, we need clarity on that. I don't know because
in terms of pulling of the
reports or because there's no clarity, I really can't give answer to that though. But it's if you have clarity, you can raise your hand and ask your question, please. So we have Mr. David Anthony. Mr. David Anthony has a
question. So would Mr. David, you can speak now. Let's hear you.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. David.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was a nice presentation. We love that. We appreciate it. Thanks for the good work. But my question is this: number one, we talked about cloud, series of time, and all that. But I want to ultimately to understand that many of us on this does not know how that cloud is implemented. I will tell you one good reason. We talk about cloud. The moment you establish a cloud device on a client premises, it means we need to tell that client that client needs a public IP address. Because it's public IP address that will determine wherever anybody is, they can be able to locate where that cloud device is, because it will be assigned a port to. That's number one. Number two, we have this training every day and then, but we never have any material to refresh our memory. Because series of time we've been doing this training, and yet we don't have the materials that will refresh our memory. And thirdly, I expect we as a partner, we're supposed to have a demo kit for ourselves. So that simulating some of these equipment and see how they interact at the back end. Because take for instance now, it's just like I'm buying a Cisco for a client and I will just go to client office and start implementing without me knowing the technical know-how of how the Cisco is interacting, what is the output, what is the input from the other end, how does it behave from the back end. I think these are the things we need to address. So that we won't just buy an equipment, because the truth is that we face the client every blessed day. There are some clients that don't have patience for let me talk to manufacturer, I'll get back to you. There are some clients, 90% of you don't have that patience. They will tell you, so you don't know this job, why did you take it? And I want us to address that where we need to correct that error, because client doesn't have that patience, whereby they want to wait for a manufacturer to get back to us or get back to them. So I believe this is how you tell us how to go about it. It's easy for us to get a demo kit from you people, a complete demo kit where we can use it for ourselves and enhance on it and see how it works and see how it behaves at the end. Then we know that yes, when we go to a client premises, we do it with 100% assured that yes, we can do it without any issues. But not we falling back to client to manufacturer, because at times you fall back to manufacturer, you might not be able to get response on time from manufacturer, and it creates a serious issue with the client, and it might delay your money because you didn't give him 100% of the job. So those are the things. That's my own contributions. And secondly, you talk about time attendance. This thing, what's it called? The last time attendance software. We've tried on ZKTeco. But what we notice is that he is not communicating with ZKTeco and K40, because there was a K40 we supply almost 6 to some schools. So now they want the proprietors want to be monitoring that thing from where he is. So we use that about time attendance. We deploy it. But he was not able to communicate with that. He was not seeing those K40 on the network. So I think, is there any other way we can address that? Or do we need to tell the client, okay, please, you need to change this and buy this equipment so that you'll be able to see whatever you need to see and see other features that you want to see. So please, I want to have a clarification on that.
Okay, sir. Mr. We really appreciate this feedback. It's very important to us as ZKTeco. So you raised 2 questions. The first question you raised is on getting a demo unit for POC. Am I right? Then you also raised a question of the biotime and not compatible devices. So on the POC and what's in the demo unit, well, depending on your agreement with the BDM who is managing your account, you can actually get a demo unit such that if you want to show it to your client for demo, that can be arranged. But it's going to be on the basis that you do the demo and you return the product back after the demo has been done. There are demos in a box that we at ZKTeco we have available that you can use for demo. And this can be provided to you on a case-by-case basis, on a need basis, depending on what you want to do. There's no way that we as ZKTeco will know that you are a client and you want to do a POC for a client who has the potential that will not support you. That's why we are here for you. So you can discuss that with your the account manager that is managing your account. He would help you with that to work that out. And still talking about the solution on the devices, one of the reasons we have this bi-weekly session is for us to get feedback and for us to be able to bring people up to speed on how to use ZKTeco products and solutions and how they work. And if you need more information on that, you can reach out to us on our WSL portal that my colleague has already shared with us during the session. That's www.zkteco-wa.com/WSL. There you can raise any complaint that concerns technical support, issues, support, trial, or configuration that can be raised. Our technical guys will take it up and just let your account manager know, and he or she will take it up from there. Then on the second question you raised, Biotime and K40. On our presentation, we noticed we noted two things. We have push and we have pull devices. Biotime mostly work with the push devices. K40 is a pull devices. It doesn't have an WDMS or ADMS. So that means K40 cannot work on Biotime. Biotime has a list of compatible devices it works with, and K40 is not one of those devices it works with. K40 works with ZKTeco, not Biotime. So if I have to answer your question, for that client to be able to see his attendance remotely, he needs a device that works with Biotime, not K40. K40 will not do remote viewing. Then also, for the issue of telling people that Biotime needs an IP, well, needs a public IP. Well, that is something that an installer usually explains to the client. Most times when installer contact people, like we as ZKTeco, we are going here, we don't do installation. So because of this, we have certified installers that do the installation. For most of our installers who are certified, we tell them that for you to be able to use Biotime to work on a device, you need a public IP on that device. So it only makes sense that these installers, which he yourself happen to be one, can also let your client know that, okay, CEO, for you to achieve remote viewing with this device, you need a public IP that you can get from your internet service provider to use Biotime. Something that you can communicate to your client. I believe I've answered your question already.
Also, for a list of devices supported by Biotime, you can go to the website. Just type in search for Biotime, scroll down to the end of the page. There's a PDF document that you can download that shows you all the devices that are supported. So for future references, that can guide you, sir. Thank you so much.
Would that be all, Mr. David?
Yes, you've answered my question. You've answered my question. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Well, I just want to ask one more question. Just one more question. Where can we get most of the software? Because I remember I registered on your web, but I noticed that after some upgrade on your website, I found that I can no longer log in again.
Okay, that is being worked on. We'll also take this feedback and relate to our ERODT for them to work on that. Then in the interim, you can download on our website from our HQ website, that is www.ZKTeco.com. Under there you see downloads, and from download you can download our ZKTeco, our Biotime, our BioAccess, and all solutions that ZKTeco have. You can download it.
Please share the link with us. Share the link so that let's have it. So that anytime I want to do that, I'll be able to do that.
You will get it now on the chat box.
Okay. Thanks so much. You answered my question. I'm okay with that now. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mr. David. Really appreciate that. Okay. So, Mr. Nuruddin, your hand is still up. Is there another question, please? Mr. Nuruddin.
If that would be one.
Okay.
Then we have come to the end of this session. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming in. We'll communicate subsequent trainings to you as soon as possible so that you can also make time to attend.
So please don't forget, like I mentioned, to subscribe to our social media platform.
Please follow us on all our social media channels. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and we're on LinkedIn.
Also, the training materials that we used today will be made available on our social media platform. on our YouTube channel. You can access this material
recording
and other material.
Yes.
So perhaps you missed the session, you can get the recorded training session on our YouTube page.
channel.
And you
At ZKTeco West Africa on all channels.
thank you so much, and hope to see you in 2 weeks' time, where we'll be having another session with you in attendance. Thanks so much, and from us at ZKTeco, thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
And don't forget to stay safe, please.